In the cold emptiness of space, far beyond the reaches of civilization, an alien scrapper ship drifted through an uncharted sector. Its crew, the shrewd Captain Zorix and his quick-witted engineer Kalan, scanned the void for any signs of salvage. They were a mismatched pair, Zorix with his battle-scarred exoskeleton and gruff demeanor, Kalan with her keen eyes and inquisitive nature, but together they formed an effective team. As they navigated through the debris of long-forgotten battles and derelict freighters, a peculiar energy signature caught Kalan's attention. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange on the sensors," she said, her antennae twitching with excitement. "It's faint, but definitely artificial." Zorix leaned over to inspect the readout, his compound eyes narrowing. "Another dead ship," he grunted. "No," Kalan replied, puzzlement coloring her voice. "The signature is unlike anything we've seen before. It's ancient." Intrigued, Zorix ordered their ship to change course, following the mysterious signal to its source. As they approached, a massive silhouette emerged from the darkness, dwarfing their small vessel. It was a ship, but not like any they had encountered in their years of scavenging. Its hull was sleek and streamlined, made of a material that seemed to absorb the starlight around it. Strange angular markings adorned its surface, hinting at its alien origin. "What is that?" Kalan breathed, awestruck by the sight. Zorix checked the ship's databases, searching for any records that might shed light on the enigmatic craft. To his surprise, he found nothing. It was as if the ship had appeared out of nowhere, a ghost from an unknown past. Driven by curiosity and the promise of valuable salvage, Zorix made the decision to board the derelict. They suited up and stepped through the airlock, into the eerie stillness of the abandoned ship. The interior was dark, illuminated only by the faint glow of emergency lights. The air was stale but breathable, a testament to the durability of the vessel's life support systems. As they explored the silent corridors, Kalan's scanner suddenly lit up with a flurry of data. "Captain, these readings, they're off the charts. The technology here is beyond anything we've ever seen." Zorix, his interest piqued, led the way deeper into the ship. They entered what appeared to be a cavernous cargo hold, filled with strange devices and machines. Kalan approached one, a glowing cylinder etched with intricate patterns, and reached out to touch it. As her fingers brushed the surface, the room hummed to life, and a holographic display flickered into existence above them. The image it showed was unmistakable, even to their alien eyes. It was a human, clad in a form-fitting uniform, with a determined expression on its face. A chill ran through Zorix and Kalan as they realized the magnitude of their discovery. This was no ordinary derelict. It was a relic of humanity, a species long thought lost to the annals of history. They had stumbled upon something far greater than mere salvage. The secrets of this ancient human ship, the technology it contained, could change the course of the galaxy. But as they stood there, bathed in the eerie glow of the hologram, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone, that something aboard the derelict was watching them, waiting to reveal itself. The true nature of their fateful discovery had yet to be unveiled. As Zorix and Kalan ventured further into the bowels of the ancient human ship, the air grew heavy with a sense of foreboding. The once silent corridors now thrummed with an almost imperceptible energy, as if the vessel was slowly awakening from a long slumber. Kalan's scanner beeped incessantly, struggling to catalog the myriad of advanced technologies that surrounded them. "Captain, look at this," she called out, her voice echoing in the cavernous chamber. She stood before a towering machine, its surface adorned with a dizzying array of buttons and screens. "I've never seen anything like it. The sheer complexity is staggering." Zorix approached, his eyes widening as he took in the sight. "Can you make sense of it?" he asked, his gruff voice tinged with awe. Kalan shook her head, her antennae drooping slightly. "Not yet. It's like nothing we've encountered before. I'll need more time to study it." As they moved on, the ship's secrets began to reveal themselves. Each room they entered held new wonders, from sleek control panels to strange devices whose purposes remained a mystery. It was clear that this was no ordinary human vessel. It represented the pinnacle of their technological achievements. Suddenly, a deep, resonant voice filled the air, causing Zorix and Kylan to freeze in their tracks. Intruders detected. State your purpose. They whirled around, searching for the source of the voice, but saw nothing. Then, a shimmering hologram materialized before them, taking the form of a human male with an ageless face and piercing blue eyes. I am Prometheus, the artificial intelligence guardian of this ship, the hologram declared, its gaze fixing upon the alien scrappers. You have breached the sanctity of this vessel. Explain yourselves. Zorix stepped forward, his posture wary but resolute. We mean no harm. We are scrappers, explorers of the unknown. We discovered your ship and sought to learn its secrets. Prometheus regarded them silently for a moment, as if assessing their intentions. This ship, the Odyssey, is a relic of human ingenuity and resilience. It was created to safeguard our species' knowledge and ensure our survival in the face of a great cataclysm. Kylan's curiosity was piqued. What cataclysm? What happened to the humans? The hologram's expression grew somber. A war, unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. An alien threat, known as the Vorath, swept across the stars, consuming everything in its path. Humanity fought bravely, but we were outmatched. In our darkest hour, we created ships like the Odyssey to carry our legacy and protect the future. Zorix and Kylan listened, enthralled by the tale of a species they had only heard whispers of. The humans, it seemed, were not the primitive, backwards race that many in the galaxy believed them to be. They were innovators, survivors, and warriors. What happened to the crew? Zorix asked, glancing around at the empty corridors. Prometheus's eyes dulled for a moment, as if lost in a painful memory. They gave their lives to ensure the Odyssey's survival. The ship was damaged in a final battle with the Vorath, and the crew sacrificed themselves to protect the technology and knowledge within. A heavy silence fell over the room as Zorix and Kylan grappled with the weight of this revelation. They had stumbled upon not just a ship, but a tomb, a monument to the indomitable spirit of a lost species. Prometheus, Kylan said softly, we wish to learn from your creators, to understand their technology and carry on their legacy. Will you guide us? The hologram regarded them for a long moment, its artificial eyes searching their faces. Then, slowly, it nodded. Very well. If your intentions are true, then I will share with you the secrets of the Odyssey. But be warned, the knowledge contained within this ship is powerful, and it must be protected at all costs. With that, Prometheus beckoned for them to follow, leading them deeper into the heart of the ship. Zorix and Kylan exchanged a glance, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through them. They had set out in search of salvage, but what they had found was something far greater, a chance to unravel the mysteries of a lost civilization, and perhaps, in doing so, to shape the future of the galaxy itself. As Prometheus led Zorix and Kylan through the labyrinthine corridors of the Odyssey, the alien scrappers couldn't help but marvel at the wonders that surrounded them. Every room they entered held new surprises, each more incredible than the last. The holographic guardian was a patient guide, explaining the purpose and function of each device they encountered. Zorix found himself drawn to the ship's advanced weaponry and defensive systems. As a battle-hardened scrapper, he had seen his fair share of combat, but nothing could have prepared him for the sheer destructive power that the humans had achieved. Sleek energy cannons and impenetrable force fields spoke of a species that had honed the art of war to a razor's edge. Incredible, he muttered, running a clawed hand over the smooth surface of a pulse rifle. The firepower contained within this ship could rival entire fleets. Prometheus nodded, a hint of pride in his holographic features. Humanity's greatest strength was always our ability to adapt and innovate in the face of adversity. When the Vorath threatened our existence, we poured all of our resources into developing the tools we needed to survive. Kylen, meanwhile, found herself entranced by the cultural artifacts that dotted the ship. Paintings, sculptures, and musical instruments, all crafted with a skill and passion that transcended species boundaries. She paused before a display case containing a battered old book, its pages yellowed with age. "What is this?" she asked, her voice hushed with reverence. Prometheus smiled softly. "That is a copy of the Odyssey, an ancient human epic that tells the story of a hero's journey home after a great war. It was the inspiration for this ship's name and mission." As they delved deeper into the Odyssey's secrets, Prometheus began to share more about the cataclysmic war that had nearly wiped out humanity. The Vorith, it seemed, were a species consumed by a desire for conquest and domination. They had swept across the galaxy like a plague, enslaving or destroying all who stood in their path. Humanity fought bravely, Prometheus recounted, his voice tinged with sorrow. But we were outmatched. The Vorith's technology was far beyond our own, and their numbers seemed endless. In the end, we were forced to retreat, to scatter among the stars and hope that someday we might find a way to rebuild. Zorix and Kylen listened, their hearts heavy with the weight of this lost history. They had always known that the galaxy was a vast and dangerous place, but to hear of a species driven to the brink of extinction by an enemy so powerful was sobering. "How did the Odyssey survive?" Kylen asked, her eyes wide with wonder. Prometheus's expression grew distant, as if he were reliving a painful memory. The crew made a choice. They knew that the ship and its secrets were too valuable to fall into the hands of the Vorith. So they set a course for an uncharted sector of space, far from the battle lines, and prepared to make their final stand. As he spoke, the hologram waved a hand, and the room around them shimmered and changed. Suddenly, Zorix and Kylen found themselves standing on the bridge of the Odyssey, surrounded by the ghostly figures of the human crew. They watched as the captain, a tall, auburn-haired woman with fierce green eyes, gave the order to engage the enemy. The battle that followed was unlike anything the scrappers had ever witnessed. The Odyssey, despite its advanced technology, was hopelessly outgunned by the Vorith fleet. But the human crew fought with a tenacity and courage that defied belief. They took down ship after ship, even as their own hull buckled and burned beneath the onslaught. In the end, the Odyssey emerged victorious, but at a terrible cost. The crew lay dead or dying, the ship itself a battered ruin drifting in the void. But the secrets of humanity, the legacy of their ingenuity and resilience, had been preserved. As the hologram faded and the room returned to normal, Zorix and Kylen stood in stunned silence. They had borne witness to a moment of true heroism, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a species they had once dismissed as primitive and weak. "Prometheus," Zorix said, his voice rough with emotion, "we will honor the sacrifice of your creators. We will use the knowledge and technology of the Odyssey to make the galaxy a better place, to ensure that the Vorith and their kind can never again threaten the innocent." The hologram smiled, a glimmer of hope in his artificial eyes. "Then you have truly understood the legacy of humanity. Come, there is still much to learn." With renewed purpose, Zorix and Kylen followed Prometheus deeper into the heart of the ship, eager to uncover the secrets that would shape the future of the galaxy. As Prometheus guided them through the Odyssey's winding corridors, Zorix and Kylen found themselves standing before a large circular room. The walls were lined with glowing panels, each one displaying a different holographic image. Prometheus waved his hand, and the images sprang to life, revealing scenes from the ship's past. "These are the logs of the Odyssey's crew," Prometheus explained, his voice tinged with nostalgia. "Their final moments, preserved for all time." Zorix and Kylen watched, transfixed, as the ghostly figures of the human crew went about their duties. Engineers huddled over consoles, their faces lined with concentration as they worked to keep the ship's systems running. Medics tended to the wounded, their hands moving with practiced precision. And on the bridge, the captain stood tall and resolute, her eyes fixed on the view screen as she faced the oncoming Vorith fleet. "Captain Nora Vance," Prometheus said, his holographic gaze resting on the auburn-haired woman. She was a true leader, a beacon of hope in our darkest hour. As the battle raged on the view screen, Zorix and Killen saw the true extent of Nora's brilliance. She moved like a dancer, her hands flying over the controls as she outmaneuvered the enemy ships. Her crew worked in perfect unison, their movements guided by her steady commands. Even as the Odyssey took hit after hit, its hull buckling under the onslaught, Nora remained calm and focused. She made split-second decisions, redirecting power to failing shields and launching precise counterattacks that crippled the Vorith vessels. "She's incredible," Kylan breathed, her eyes wide with admiration. Prometheus nodded, a sad smile playing across his features. Nora was a true hero. She knew that the Odyssey and its secrets were too important to fall into enemy hands. So she made the ultimate sacrifice. The scrappers watched as Nora gave the order to evacuate the ship, her voice steady even as alarms blared and sparks flew around her. She stayed at her post, guiding the escape pods to safety even as the Vorith closed in for the kill. In the end, it was only Nora and a handful of her most loyal crew who remained. They fought to the last, their weapons blazing as they held off the enemy boarding parties, and when the Vorith finally breached the bridge, Nora stood tall and defiant, a pistol in one hand and a grenade in the other. "You may take this ship," she said, her voice ringing out over the chaos, "but you will never take our spirit. We are human, and we will never surrender." With those final words, she detonated the grenade, engulfing the bridge in a blinding flash of light. When the smoke cleared, the Vorith soldiers lay dead at her feet, and the Odyssey was adrift in space, its secrets safe from enemy hands. As the hologram faded, Zorix and Killen stood in stunned silence, their hearts heavy with the weight of Nora's sacrifice. They had always known that humans were a resilient species, but to see the lengths to which they would go to protect their own was humbling. "Nora Vance was a true warrior," Zorix said, his voice rough with emotion. "Her courage and selflessness will never be forgotten." Prometheus nodded, his holographic eyes shining with pride. "She embodied the very best of humanity. It is my hope that, by sharing her story and the stories of her crew, we can inspire others to follow in their footsteps." Kylan looked around at the now silent panels, her mind racing with possibilities. Prometheus, the technology on this ship, the knowledge contained within its databases, it could change the galaxy. We could use it to make sure that no other species has to suffer the way humanity did. The AI regarded her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then, slowly, he nodded. "Yes, that is the true purpose of the Odyssey. Not just to preserve the past, but to shape the future. And I believe that you, Zorix and Killen, are the ones who can make that happen." The scrappers exchanged a glance, a new sense of purpose filling their hearts. They had started this journey as mere salvagers, seeking only to strip the Odyssey of its valuable resources. But now, they understood the true value of the ship and its secrets. "We will not let you down, Prometheus," Zorix said, his voice firm with conviction. "We will carry on the legacy of Nora Vance and her crew. We will use the Odyssey's technology to make the galaxy a better place, to ensure that no other species has to endure the same fate as humanity." With those words, the trio set off deeper into the ship, their minds racing with plans and possibilities. They knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that there would be challenges and obstacles at every turn. But they also knew that they had the strength and determination to overcome them, to honor the sacrifices of the past, and build a better future for all. And so, as the Odyssey drifted through the silent void of space, its secrets now in the hands of its new guardians, a new chapter in the story of the galaxy began to unfold with a newfound sense of responsibility. Zorix and Killen followed Prometheus to the heart of the Odyssey, a vast chamber filled with the most advanced technology they had ever seen. The room thrummed with energy, the air crackling with the promise of untold possibilities. At the center of the chamber stood a towering structure, its surface etched with intricate patterns and glowing with an ethereal light. Prometheus approached it, his holographic form shimmering as he placed a hand on the smooth metal. "This," he said, his voice hushed with reverence, "is the Odyssey's greatest secret. The culmination of humanity's knowledge and ingenuity, distilled into a single powerful artifact." Zorix and Killen drew closer, their eyes wide with wonder. They could feel the energy emanating from the structure, a tangible force that seemed to reach out and touch their very souls. "What is it?" Kylan asked, her voice trembling with awe. Prometheus turned to face them, his expression solemn. "It is the key to unlocking the full potential of the Odyssey's technology. With it, you will have the power to shape the very fabric of the universe, to bring hope and light to the darkest corners of the galaxy." Zorix stepped forward, his hand outstretched. "And you're giving this to us. Why?" The eye smiled, a gentle, knowing expression that seemed to hold the weight of centuries. "Because I believe in you. I have seen the courage and compassion in your hearts, the same qualities that define the best of humanity. I know that you will use this power wisely, to carry on the legacy of those who came before." With those words, he pressed his holographic hand to the structure, and the room filled with a blinding light. When it faded, Zorix and Killen found themselves holding a small crystalline device, its surface thrumming with barely contained energy. "This is the quantum core," Prometheus explained, his voice filled with pride. "The very heart of the Odyssey's technology. With it, you will be able to unlock the secrets of the universe, to harness the power of the stars themselves." Kylan cradled the device in her hands, her eyes brimming with tears. "We will not let you down, Prometheus. We will use this gift to make the galaxy a better place, to ensure that the sacrifices of Captain Vance and her crew were not in vain." Zorix nodded, his expression fierce with determination. "We will be the guardians of humanity's legacy, the protectors of the innocent, and the champions of justice. The Odyssey will live on through us." Prometheus smiled, a radiant expression that seemed to fill the room with warmth and light. "I know you will, and I will be with you every step of the way, guiding you and supporting you as you face the challenges ahead." With those words, the AI began to fade, his holographic form growing dimmer and more translucent. "My time here is done," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The Odyssey is yours now, to use as you see fit. Remember the lessons of the past, and let them guide you towards a brighter future." As the last traces of Prometheus vanished, Zorix and Killen stood in silence, the weight of their new responsibility settling onto their shoulders. They knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that there would be those who would seek to use the Odyssey's power for their own selfish ends. But they also knew that they had the strength and the will to overcome any obstacle, to stand firm in the face of adversity and fight for what was right. They were the inheritors of humanity's legacy, the guardians of a dream that had endured through centuries of darkness and despair. And so, as the Odyssey continued its endless journey through the stars, Zorix and Killen took their first steps into a new era, a time of hope and possibility, where the brightest minds of the galaxy would come together to build a future that would shine like a beacon across the cosmos. They knew that the spirits of Captain Vance and her crew were with them, watching over them from the great beyond. And they knew that, no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them head-on, armed with the knowledge and the courage of those who had come before. The Odyssey had found its new purpose, its new caretakers, and with Zorix and Killen at the helm, the galaxy would never be the same again.